got this music from Bruce Hall.
I do.
You did? You know Bruce?
No.
He was principal in the freelance pop started in Boston.
Oh, really?
In other words, what you see on July 4th,
Uh-huh.
that's not the Boston Symphony of Boston Pops. It's like freelancers, and he was a top freelancer in town. I'm sorry, I didn't see that repeat there in the end of the first movement. Didn't show up very clearly. So
A little more moisture. The fruit fly is very high. All righty.
now what do we do on this one? We do the
Major
repeat once.
minor. Yeah.
One time on the repeat.
Go back to one. That should be it.
He's away.
Yeah.
Is it almost done?
Yeah.
Okay.
So was it?
I think
We're just gonna wait until the session starts? All right.
it's just like 2
We
minutes.
don't know yet. But I'm gonna pull up my procession, just in case. Somebody gonna come and tell us when it's time?
Don't know.
Okay.
Last time they said,
Well, they announce it.
please stand for the procession.
Yeah. I suppose we should keep playing then.
What are we doing?
Let's do Bengal Single Leader with no repeat.
No repeat.
No repeat.
No repite.
Well, sounds like a cadence. It was a one chord.
I'll give it a 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the academic procession.
Good afternoon. It is my great pleasure to open the graduation ceremony of the University of Tennessee Health Science Center College of Medicine. I am Dr. Catherine Womack, Associate Dean for Student Affairs and Admissions. We are very pleased to have the family and friends of our graduating class of 2021 as our honored guests today. Thank you for joining us in person and virtually. Before beginning, I have a few housekeeping issues. First, please take a moment to locate the nearest emergency exit. We ask that everyone silence their cell phones and other portable devices. Today, we are fortunate to have Ms. Chelsea Ross Miller, a member of the class of 2021, to lead us in the national anthem. In keeping with your own personal beliefs and traditions, please feel free to remove your cap. Ms. Miller.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we
Thank you, Ms. Miller. It is wonderful that so many of you have been able to join us today in person and virtually to celebrate this great and momentous occasion in the lives of our graduates. I would like to thank our Chancellor, Dr. Steve Schwab, for joining us today, along with Dr. Cindy Russell, Interim Vice Chancellor of Academic, Faculty, and Student Affairs, as well as Dr. Bruce Shack, Dean for the College of Medicine, Chattanooga. I would also like to thank the other faculty on the stage today for their contributions. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Scott Strome. Dr. Strome is the Robert Kaplan Executive Dean and Vice Chancellor for Clinical Affairs for the University of Tennessee Health Science Center College of Medicine. We welcome him as he presides over this ceremony. Dean Strome.
Thank you, and please be seated. Congratulations to the class of 2021. We are delighted to welcome you, your families, your loved ones, and all the people that care about you and have supported you in this journey to becoming a physician. And today is your day. And it's a day in person. So I'm going to ask everyone in the audience to take a breath. Each of you, please take a breath. Enjoy the simple feeling of your chest expanding. Enjoy the sensation of air filling your lungs. Enjoy this simple act of renewal. Enjoy this breath surrounded by your friends, your family, on this important milestone in your medical journeys. The day that the class of 2021 transitions from medical students to doctors. The day they reaffirm that they will always be students. Take a breath for all those people this year who could not perform this seemingly simple task and died as a result. Take a breath and ask why. Why have so many people worldwide died from COVID-19? Why do people keep dying from a now preventable illness? What can we learn from this tragedy, and how can we use this knowledge to do better? It is often said, and I quote, that opportunity favors the prepared mind. Despite warnings from luminaries, we as a global society were caught largely unprepared for the onset of a completely predictable pandemic. Our stockpiles of protective equipment were inadequate. Our plans for crisis management dated, and our strategies for cohesive emergency messaging almost non-existent. The magnitude of these deficiencies was and is exacerbated by the politicization of this disease, as if the virus was colored red, blue, or something in between. While some of these problems were mitigated by massive scientific achievement, ultimately they resulted in the common endpoints of unnecessary suffering and death. And all did not suffer equally. People of color were afflicted by COVID-19 and died more frequently than whites. The poor died more frequently than the rich. How can you effectively quarantine in a multi-generational house with limited space? How does an hourly worker make the impossible choice between staying home while sick or feeding their family? How does a person find the courage to seek advice from a healthcare system for which they have justifiable mistrust and for whom their portal of entry is a crowded emergency room? The simple answer to many of these questions is that you cannot. You cannot overcome decades of systemic marginalization in the midst of a pandemic. You can only take halting steps forward, inevitably stumbling and falling along the way. How do we move forward? From strife comes ingenuity and invention. We must water and nourish the global scientific collaborations catalyzed by COVID-19 so that they can blossom into other areas of discovery. We must water and nourish the translational medical platforms which save countless lives to ensure their lasting impact on a host of diverse diseases. We must water and nourish the administrative lessons relating to COVID-19 testing, regulation of drug development, vaccination paradigms, and social messaging, using these as platforms to plan for future catastrophic and non-catastrophic events. We must water and nourish funding for basic and translational research. Allocation of this sustenance is only meritorious if it can strengthen and enrich the lives of every person in our society, all people, every single one. Not just the rich, not just the poor, not just people of certain skin colors or ethnicities, just people, all people, period. Your class has partnered with the College of Medicine to advance these laudable goals, building platforms for farms on blighted lands in Memphis, building our program called Equitable Health in Neighborhoods, and serving as leaders of Clinical Esperanza and supporting the hiring of our new Associate Dean of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. While these and other similar activities began to address the structural problems of access to care and perhaps more importantly, access to caring, they are far from adequate. Meaningful change will require each of us to sear the stain of COVID-19 related inequalities in our collective conscience and overcome the overt and covert biases that led to these results. Each of us may take a long, hard look in the mirror and ask, what can I contribute and how can I do better? On this day, you and your future colleagues stand as future arbitrators of the health of our nation and as critical voices in as how we as a nation come to grips with the fundamental attacks on social justice that challenge the very fabric of our existence. Indeed, the only defense against disease and suffering is your knowledge, your compassion, and your willingness to care deeply for each and every patient, regardless of color, religion, or financial status, who walks through your door, as well as for those who cannot. Will you stand as weather vanes, susceptible to the changing winds, or will you stand up and be counted, even when, and especially when, the opposing winds are at their strongest? In many ways, you as a class have already answered these questions and made significant strides for the College of Medicine. You stood up their first drive-through testing sites in Memphis and administered COVID-19 tests. You volunteered to vaccinate patients in our university clinical health-led sites. You cared, and you cared deeply. When I look into your eyes and I see your compassion, creativity, and resilience, I'm confident that the future of medicine is not only safe, but that it is in terrific hands. Take a breath and congratulate yourselves on a job well done. Take another as sustenance for the journey ahead. Congratulations, class of 2021. I would now like to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Mathia P. Mathia. Dr. Mathia was selected by the class of 2021 to be Dr. Mathia is professor and vice chair of medicine and a member and senior faculty at the VA Medical Center. Dr. Mathia, I invite you to come up and give your address.
Good morning. It's a great day for every one of you. A warm welcome on behalf of the University of Tennessee College of Medicine and everybody else, as well as the whole campus. It's a privilege and honor to be selected by you guys to come and give you this message. I'm really, truly honored. Congratulations to the families of all the graduate students. A special congratulations to the spouses and significant others of the medical students. You guys have endured, supported, and shared the victories of our students. Above all, super congratulations to all the graduates. You've been asked to show that you are good enough and you're worth it one more time. It's going to keep happening over and over, you know that. And you've shown to everyone, especially yourself, that you are awesome. A big round of applause to all the graduating students. Here's a bonus for everybody, including the audience. If you continue to pay attention, I'm going to tell you all how to grow more brain cells. Why am I saying this? When I was in med school, they lied to me. They said, we are all born with a set of brain cells and we never grow anymore. And wait a minute, after you cross 25, you're going to lose about 1 to 3% of your cells every year, depending on what you do and what you don't do. But that was wrong. So I'm going to tell you how you can grow more brain cells, how you can develop more connections, and make your brain work better than what it is working now. Only if you pay attention, I'll tell you at the end. You know, Dr. Womack, she went to residency with me. Maybe she will remind me to tell you this if I forget. This graduating class is particularly special because you guys have endured, survived, and bested COVID-19. This is something that came upon us out of the blue. We saw our first case in March 2020, I vividly remember. It was Mardi Gras that brought our first patient. This was the first super spreader event that we all recognize. To mention a few of what has happened on campus, our Dean, Dr. Strom, supported by Chancellor Schwab, spearheaded campus-wide initiatives to take on this pandemic. We had Dr. Colin Johnson, along with our biocontainment lab. We had the brains of Dr. Michael Witt and numerous other faculty members, graduate students, others from various departments who chipped in. And the students, you guys, M1s, M2s, M3s, M4s, as well as students from College of Nursing, everywhere around the campus. You guys chipped in and you got involved in various ways, including sample collection, testing, and then vaccine administration on top of your regular activities and school stuff that was going on. At the VA, we had a huge responsibility to our veterans as well. Our leadership, our Chief of Staff, Dr. Tom Ferguson, he geared up into action. We opened a COVID unit where many of you have worked with me, and I've noticed you guys come with me, sometimes all by yourselves, go hold these patients in the COVID ward. And that was a huge service, and you're going to remember that for the rest of your life. This is another fantastic achievement that you have under your belts. I should admit, this was one of the toughest years for all of us. I graduated from medical school in 1987 back in India, been in practice close to 30 years. I've never had a year that was like this. It was a calamity that was upon us, and we were actually losing some of our most vulnerable patients, our senior citizens, right? While we lost many, this was also one of the most rewarding times. I read more than I've read about a single disease in a long time that I can remember. So we came together as an organization, and we have provided outstanding care to our community. Our numbers, the numbers that we crunched looking at our outcomes indicate that our patient outcomes are better than the national average. Trust me, so we're going to publish this. And we've done better than many famous places in the United States. I'm not going to name which famous places are, but we've done better than many famous places in the United States. Just like you all, I'm a doctor. I signed up for a process of lifelong learning. So I I tell you that when I see you guys as an M1, as an M2, as a JI at the bedside, I'm telling you the same thing. If you think you know enough now, think again. Don't be stupid like how I was in 1987. I thought I knew everything. Boy, was I wrong. So there will always be something new. So keep your eyes and ears open for new knowledge, new information. There's always coming out, and grow on as the science grows. I call it going from the top of the pile to the bottom of the pile. You're M1s, now you're M4s, you're on the top of the pile. Now you become interns, you go back to the bottom of the pile, and then residents, and then some of you will become fellows, back to the bottom of the pile, and then become faculty, back to the bottom of the pile. So it goes on and on. So this is another cycle of life. So in my class, every time I ask the question, in fact, every time I interview medical students or residents, fellows, I ask them the question, what is the name of the word doctor? So I don't know for a long time. Then I realized this is Greek for doctor. So one of my medical students said, this happened about 10 years ago. He said, Dr. Mataya, that's not how it's pronounced. I took Latin and Greek or something. So I said, so how do you pronounce it? He said, it's pronounced docere. So what is the meaning of the word docere? Docere means to teach. So I just gave you an example how I learned from one of my M2s. So I learned from my M2s, my M3s, my residents, interns, nurses, respiratory therapists, everybody at the bedside. So everybody is going to know something that you don't know. So keep an open mind and try to learn from each other. So you're a doctor, you're a teacher. Remember, opportunities never come at a convenient time. So whenever opportunities come, try to grab those opportunities. Be nice to yourself, be kind to your patients as well as their families. I have to tell you once again about the placebo versus the nocebo effect. I'm sure you guys remember us talking about this in our M2 class. Placebo effect is you give a sugar pill to a patient, let's say for example with a headache, with good intention and good empathy. 30 to 40% of the times, because you had intentions, the placebo works and the headache goes away. This is how you empower the brain and the body's power to heal itself. So we have to have that empathy towards patients. The opposite is a nocebo effect. That is, you give the right medication for the right diagnosis without empathy, without making that patient connection. That is, even though you gave the right medication, it is not going to work. So that's the nocebo effect. So let's plan on making use of this placebo, self-healing properties of these humans. Some of you are going to be working with me at the bedside. I'll tell you more about that when we get a chance. This is why Watson is Microsoft's diagnostic supercomputer. Watson can never replace you and I, because no matter how smart Watson is, Watson can never exhibit the empathy that you and I can. Always have a positive attitude. People with positive attitude instill hope into everyone. Positive attitude promotes people coming together. Positive attitude brings consensus. Positive attitude enhances hope. Positive attitude brings out the placebo effect. So positive attitude helps you heal more than just medicine. Now, doctoring is a service. Being a doctor is a calling. You guys know that. That's why you're all here. Even though some people, when they go to see a doctor at the front desk, they see business, because as soon as you go in, show me your driver's license and show me your insurance card, right? However, once people cross the front desk and come to us, we should make sure that we make them feel that we are at service to them, make them feel better. Remember, you cannot cure everyone, but you can always make people feel better. So here's the goals for physicians: to cure sometimes, to relieve suffering often, to comfort always. Especially pay close attention to people who are senior. People, I'm not going to say older because I'm getting there soon. So people who are senior, respect them and take care of them. Many of you will become leaders in your field. It may not look that way when you get started. However, more than 80% of you, more than 90% of you will oversee some process or another during your career. Some of you will become program directors, helping people train. Some of you will become chair of departments. A few of you will even become deans of institutions. And a select few will probably become even politicians or people who influence politicians. This is very important, because now you'll have the power and responsibility not to just help individual people, but also huge communities, sometimes the whole country. You're the ones who are going to solve the problems of the world, not us, right? So expect that opportunity and gear up. Do your part to serve and protect the people. Do your part, and don't forget to protect your peers as well. So we all need help from each other as well. As you will be leaders, I'll tell you a few essential qualities for leaders. Be unbiased. To me, that's the hallmark of a leader. Lead by example. Avoid nepotism. Do not discriminate. Be inclusive. One more thing I learned in this pandemic, know what you know, and please try to know what you don't know. And I keep reminding of myself about that every day. There are some people who are doing the opposite, especially at the beginning of this pandemic. They knew about 10% of the information. They went on YouTube and other online channels pretending as though they knew everything and started propagating controversial information. So let's make sure that we know what we know and understand what we don't know. I have to tell you about work-life balance. That's what is going to sustain us for the rest of our career and beyond. Both are equally important. Work is important. Family is important as well. So don't ignore one for the other. Don't start working for your assets. Let me explain. I know a doc, once upon a time, I'm not even going to tell you the timeline when this was. He graduated, and then the first year of practice, he went ahead and bought $1 million house. So what that made him do was, the house was good, but he was now starting to work for the house. So he would start working at 5 a.m. in the morning and work until 12. So he did not make it a point to cherish his family and his life. So don't do that. So don't start working for your assets. So be mindful of what you're getting into. I know that many of you have student debt. It will be weighing heavily on you. Don't let that dictate what your career is going to be. This is one of Dean Strom's missions. He's working with the Chancellor Schwab to decrease educational costs across our campus, and I hope he succeeds. Choose to do something that will keep you engaged and excited for the rest of your life. As we say, if you love what you do, you don't have to work a day in your life. Think about career goals with your heart, not your wallets. All right? So make connections, human connections with your coworkers. You build trust amongst yourselves, and that is going to be the biggest stress reliever. You guys know donuts, right? You know what I call donuts? They're mood stabilizers. However, the human connections are better mood stabilizers than donuts. They come first. Celebrate life, celebrate love and relationships. I have much more to say, but I'm kind of limited by time today, so I'm going to kind of stop here. Here are, I told you the bonus information, right? How are you going to grow more brain cells? Anybody wants to know that? Of course you do. So good sleep, so about 7 to 8 hours of sleep. We need to figure out what our body needs. Good nutrition, a balanced diet. Good exercise for the body. Good exercise for the brain. What is that? Problem solving. Doctors don't have to worry about that. So when we retire, that's why people start to do Sudoku and solving word puzzles. Watching good movies is actually brain exercise as well. I do a lot of that. And then, like how we rest the brain, we also need to rest the brain during waking hours. How do you do that? We call it meditation, right? Meditation comes in many forms. To me, driving is meditation. I know for some of my patients, some of my people, fishing is meditation, and music, listening to music is meditation. So we've talked about that in class. So problem solving, brain rest, social connections. That's absolutely important for your brain to develop as well as for us to have longevity. And then last but not the least, this is not an exhaustive list, inquisitiveness. So we keep the curiosity alive, our brain is going to work better. Every one of you is awesome, each one of you. You are powerful, you can do anything. You can even heal the world, you can even get rid of COVID. You can, and you have. Have a great life, have fun. Do not forget to have fun. So have a lot of fun. Be well, do good work, keep in touch with us here in UT. Godspeed.
Will the candidates please rise? Chancellor Schwab, I have the honor of presenting for the confirmation of the degree of Doctor of Medicine the students who have fulfilled the academic and clinical requirements and standards set forth by the faculty of the college and are now ready to apply their skills for the care of their patients.
Dean Strom, distinguished faculty, loved ones, guests, candidates, I accept for recommendation for confirmation of this respected degree and express to you, the candidates, the hope and the challenge that your work will promote the health and wellness of all people. And I challenge that you will be a credit always, everywhere to this ancient, respected profession. We now come to the single most important part of this ceremony, the conferral of your well-earned doctoral degrees. I will now repeat by rote the words that have been said for over 100 years at the University of Tennessee's Health Science Center to confer doctoral degrees upon candidates. By the authority of the state of Tennessee, invested by the state in the Board of Trustees of the University of Tennessee, and by them delegated to me as Chancellor, I do, on the nomination of the Dean and the faculty, grant to each of you the degree for which you have been presented, and confer upon each of you all of the honors, all of the rights, and all of the privileges to this degree appertaining. Ladies, gentlemen, faculty, it truly gives me great pride, honor, and pleasure to present to this assembly the graduating class of the University of Tennessee Health Science Center's College of Medicine for May of 2021. Doctors, let me say that one more time for effect. Doctors, you may now be seated.
Ushering the students to receive their hoods and diploma is Dr. Dustin Fulton, Assistant Dean for Admissions. Dr. Fulton, please bring the first group of students forward. Dr. Fulton will also be reading the names of our graduates. Out of respect for the solemnity of this ceremony and consideration for other students, we ask that you hold your applause until all students have received their degree and diploma.
James Howard Acuff. Milton Alexander Addington. Tusita Adris. Stephanie Allen Winters. Paul Kobina Amarte. Jacob Michael Amburn. Kaya Lillian Anderson. Tashelle Anderson. Alexandria Gabrielle Miracle Atkins. Cole Atkins. Joseph Basul Bakir. Blake Alexander Barton. Ezer Hayam Benayam. Leah Glaspie Benton. Meredith Elise Bernhard. Baylor Webb Bishop. Katie Black. Homa Bohms. Teresa Mary Borkey. Dylan Elliott Brooks. Michael Robert Browner. Caroline Nicole Emel Brown. Michael Robert Bronner. Kristen Burnett. Lad Caballero. Priscilla Caldwell. Caleb B. Cantrell. Jarrett Thomas Carlton. Caleb Hunter Cheatham. David Walker Coates. Kenneth Michael Coca. Kimberly Keene Coca. John Warren Collier. Joel Conway. Michael Austin Craig. Mohammed Darwish. Rachna Raj Dave. Elijah Tiakum DeBrew. Andrew John Deek. Stephanie Sharon DeFord. Casey Desjarnais. Sarah Delozier. Austin George DeMag. Mally Marie Dennis Vacheron. Colin Dietrich. Kevin Oshiro Doe. Ashley Carol Dodd. Jennings Hardy Dooley. John Brett Doty. Jake Hamilton Driver. Rosita Nina Ecom. Dimitri Faulkner. Irtika Farouk Fazli. Lauren Ann Faropoulos. Catherine Lee Fowler. William Charles Fry. Robert Blake Fugate. Andrew Luke Gentuso. Dora May Geving. Ramel Mansberg Glick. Lauren Sierra Gould. Lucas Wayne Gonalds. Mazal Natalie Hagler. Anna Halford. Ryan Patrick Hammond. Mary Catherine Hofstetter. Kylie Inez Wills Holden. Michaela Holland. Alexis Miles Holland. Daniel Taylor Hoover. Nicholas Stephen Hopkins. Joseph Michael Howard. Adam Hubler. Chloe Noel Hundman. Andrew Stephen Irvine. Broderick Dean Jameson. Brian Felipe Jimenez. Ashley Johnson. Melissa Husto. John David Key. Megan Lee King. Hunter Jeffrey Kraus. Robert Guyon Kropp. Rahul Kumar. Sophia Elise Lavi. Matthew Lucas Lee. Justin Lewis Lomax. Jolisa Michelle Luyako. Eric Lee. William Bird Lynn. Lydia McCall Makepeace. Mary Elizabeth McBride. Logan James McClure. David Patrick Meehan. Brittany Danielle Melvin. Deborah J. Mee. Andrew McKell. Chelsea Ross Miller. Emily Jean Miller. Rahul Mohan. Anna Rachel Morvac. Stephen William Morvant II. William Garnett Murphy. Emily Morgan Milhausen. Garrett Connor Nix. William Noggle. Emily Victoria Noggle. Holly Elizabeth Norman. Robert Austin O'Connor. Sairam O. Olufemi Edward Oshikoya. Grace Lily Parr. Radha Patel. Julia Peda Freitas. Raul Paravalli. Daniel Joseph Peters. John Michael Pierce. Alexander Pope. Zachary Pope. Mary Virginia Portera. Yanina Tavaro Quiz. Jordan Darrell Rain. Willis Ferris Ralston. James David Ralston. Garrett Ransom. Andrew Duncan Renshaw. Jonathan Rowe. Catherine E. Robinson Freeman. Matthew Joseph Rotundo. John Mark Russell. Adele Saw. Christian Salcedo. Colin Shafiq Salih. Sophia Sabrina Sanchez. Luis Artur Capella Santos. Mark Benedict Schneider. Matthew Douglas Scott. Oscar Segura. Kevin Andrew Sellers. Audrey Catherine Sharp. R. Wesley Slavin. Alexandra Elaine Smith. Jameson Hibbett Sorrells. Matthew Neil Spence. Hannah Rose Spiegel. William Hunt Stafford. Darcy Tabo Tabo. Warner A. Thomas. Albert Belandier Ramir Vacheron. Amanda Michelle Walker. Cassidy Clark Webster. Elijah Forrest Wilder. James Heath Wilder. Tamar India Williams. Forrest Wade Williard. Joshua Dakota Wilson. Caitlin Elise Witt. Jarrett Nicholas Woodward. Joseph Stephen Wright. Robert York.
It is now my pleasure to introduce our 7th annual promotion ceremony honoring our graduates of the UTHSC College of Medicine who are also officers of the U.S. military. Today we are honored to recognize Ensign Jared Thomas Carlton, U.S. Navy, Ensign Anna Rachel Moravik, U.S. Navy, Second Lieutenant Michael Austin Craig, U.S. Air Force, Second Lieutenant Grace Parr, U.S. Air Force, Second Lieutenant Austin DeMag, U.S. Army, Second Lieutenant Elijah DeBrow, U.S. Air Force. Officiating today's ceremony is Commander Tara O'Connell, U.S. Navy physician who will be performing the penning and administering the oath. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as the official party ascends the dais.
be seated. Ensign Jared Thomas Carlton, U.S. Navy, attention to orders. The President of the United States, acting upon the recommendation of the Secretary of the Navy, has placed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, integrity, and abilities of Ensign Jared Carlton. In view of these special qualities and his demonstrated potential to serve in the higher grade, Ensign Carlton is promoted to the grade of Lieutenant, United States Navy, effective 31 May 2021, by order of the Secretary of the Navy. Ensign Anna Rachel Moravec, U.S. Navy, attention to orders. The President of the United States, acting upon the recommendation of the Secretary of the Navy, has placed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, integrity, and abilities of Ensign Anna Moravec. In view of these special qualities and her demonstrated potential to serve in the higher grade, Ensign Moravec is promoted to the grade of Lieutenant, United States Navy, effective 31 May 2021, by order of the Secretary of the Navy. It's okay. No? Second Lieutenant Michael Austin Craig, U.S. Air Force, attention to orders. The President of the United States, acting upon the recommendation of the Secretary of the Air Force, has placed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, integrity, and abilities of Second Lieutenant Michael Austin Craig. In view of these special qualities and his demonstrated potential to serve in the higher grade, Second Lieutenant Michael Craig is promoted to the grade of Captain, United States Air Force, effective 31 May 2021, by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Second Lieutenant Grace Parr, U.S. Air Force, attention to orders. The President of the United States, acting upon the recommendation of the Secretary of the Air Force, has placed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, integrity, and abilities of Second Lieutenant Grace Parr. In view of these special qualities and her demonstrated potential to serve in the higher grade, Lieutenant Grace Parr is promoted to the grade of Captain, United States Air Force, effective 31 May 2021, by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Second Lieutenant Austin DeMog, U.S. Army, attention to orders. The President of the United States, acting upon the recommendation of the Secretary of the Army, has placed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, integrity, and abilities of Second Lieutenant Austin DeMog. In view of these special qualities and in demonstrated potential to serve in the higher grade, Second Lieutenant Austin DeMog is promoted to the grade of Captain, United States Army, effective 31 May 2021, by order of the Secretary of the Army. Second Lieutenant Elijah DeBrow, U.S. Air Force, attention to orders. The President of the United States, acting upon the recommendation of the Secretary of the Air Force, has placed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, integrity, and abilities of Second Lieutenant Elijah DeBrow. In view of these special qualities and in demonstrated potential to serve in the higher grade, Second Lieutenant Elijah DeBrow is promoted to the grade of Captain, United States Air Force, effective 31 May 2021, by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Graduates, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your full name.
I, Jared Carlton,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
of the office that I am about to enter.
of the office that I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations to our newest military physicians.
It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Michael Witt. Dr. Witt is the Associate Dean and Chair of Medical Education.
The Committee on Recognition and Award acknowledges the superior academic achievement of students by the designation of highest honors, the top 5% of the class, and high honors, the next 10% of the class in their transcripts. Students graduating from the College of Medicine with high honors and with highest honors will be wearing an orange stole to symbolize their outstanding scholastic achievement while a student at the University of Tennessee Health Science Center. First, I'll read for high honors. So as I read the names of those who are graduating with high honors, I ask that you stand and remain at your seat until everyone is recognized. And if everyone could please hold their applause until all the names have been called. Dr. Michael Robert Browner, Dr. John Stephen Campbell, Dr. John Warren Collier, Dr. John Brent Doty, Dr. Jake Hamilton Driver, Dr. William Charles Fry, Dr. Robert Blake Fugate, Dr. Mary Catherine Hofstetter, Dr. Justin Lewis Lomax, Dr. Rahul Paravalli, Dr. Janine Tavaro Quiz, Dr. Jonathan Rowe, Dr. Audrey Catherine Sharp, Dr. Matthew Neal Spence, Dr. Albert Bandelier Ramir Vacheron, Dr. Forrest Willard, and Dr. Joshua Dakota Wilson. Let's give these students a round of applause. So students whose overall grade point average is the highest 5% of the class are recommended for graduation with highest honors. As I call your name again, please stand. These are also going to be recipients of the Faculty Medal for Academic Achievement. Please remain standing as you're recognized, and again, hold your applause until the end. Dr. Jacob Michael Amburn, Dr. Ezer Haim Benaim, Dr. Michael Alston Craig, Dr. Dimitri Faulkner, Dr. Adam Keith Hubler, Dr. Sophia Elise Levy, Dr. Matthew Lucas Lee, Dr. Mary Virginia Portera, Dr. Catherine E. Robinson Freeman, Dr. Kevin Andrew Sellers, and Dr. Joseph Stephen Wright. Let's give these outstanding graduates a round of applause. You may be seated now. It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Kenneth Coca. Dr. Coca is the president of the class of 2021 and will be addressing the class. Dr. Coco?
Greetings to the class of 2021, family, friends, faculty, and deans. It is a great honor to be with all of you who are here today and with all those watching from home. To the graduates today, it has been a privilege to serve as your class president over the last 4 years, and I would like to take a few minutes to reflect on our journey to this moment. My initial thought was to simply send you all an email. But of course, had I done so, none of you would have read it. So instead, I will read it to you now. This past weekend, I sat and spoke with my grandmother for a period of time. She grew up in Romania during World War II and endured the rise and fall of the communist regime. Her highest level of education was the 2nd grade, and in the middle of one of her stories, she stopped, looked at me and said, "Never in my wildest imaginations did I think we would have a doctor in the family." Well, Grandma, neither did I. I know this pride she feels today is felt by all of our families as they step with us into this next season of our lives. We would not have made it here without the incredible love, encouragement, and support from our families and communities. I want to take a moment to thank some of you specifically. First, I would like to thank Kimberly, my wife and best friend. She is also graduating here today. You are going to do incredible things, and I am thankful to walk with you. I also want to thank our dear parents for their love, prayers, and support over the years. We couldn't have done it without you. And to all of the partners, parents, grandparents, family, faculty present or listening in, thank you from all of us. To you, my dear colleagues and friends, thank you for the incredible opportunity to grow alongside of you. Together, in addition to learning how to be doctors, we celebrated marriages, welcomed new babies, and added quite the number of pets to our collective family. As we branch off into our various specialties and move into new homes across the nation, I'm delighted to know that these bonds of friendship will persist despite the distance. Thinking about all the challenges we have faced between the time when we first started medical school and today, when we finally reached the end, I think we all have one thing in common. We have developed a resiliency that will carry us forward. Take a moment to remember back when we were removed from clinical rotations March 2020. No one knew how long we would be sidelined or when we would continue our education. But in the midst of the chaos and confusion, instead of just sitting around at home, you kept finding ways to serve this city and ended up designing, running a COVID testing site that was so incredible it became an example to the rest of the state and even the country. If you ever feel small during residency, remember that at some point last spring, you and the people sitting around you were likely drenched in sweat, in full bunny suits, in the Memphis sun, yelling through masks, face shields, car windows, and walkie-talkies just to get patients checked in at Tiger Lane. I was incredibly proud to be one of your number then, and I am incredibly now. Consider that we are the first class to ever interview virtually, and how so many of us matched into cities we never even visited. Some of us even had to finish our core clinical rotations from 3rd year in the past couple of months. How strange a year it has been. Our resiliency was challenged time and time again, and yet here we are celebrating together today. Throughout the challenges of medical school, you helped me understand the importance of community. We fought for one another, developed lifelong friendships, and I will miss all of you greatly. Carry this sense of community forward into your residency and into your practice. As I was writing this speech, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what felt most important to say to you all on this momentous day. I've decided to recount some important lessons I've learned from those who came before. First, lead by serving. and never get so far removed from where you started that you forget what it's like to be a medical student. So be kind. 2, remember that our allegiance is always to the sick, not to our compensation, not to a political agenda, but simply to our patients. Remember to care for those who cannot pay. Remember that we can still point with pride at the difference between a vocation and a job. 3, in our time as medical students, we often saw excellent medical care without equity of care. Be standard bearers for social justice and seek to provide excellent care with equity. And finally, when you will feel overwhelmed, just remember that you are simply a human being that gets to care for another human being. Let's go out there, seize medicine with both hands, our heads, and our hearts, and as we apply our knowledge and transform medicine with science and technology, do remember to add the soul. While our time together has come to an end, I will always remember it as some of the best 4 years of my life. I am proud of what we have accomplished together, and I can't wait to see what we do next. I know this is just a start. It has truly been my joy and my honor to walk with you. Thank you. It is now my honor to introduce Dr. Mukta Panda, professor in the Department of Medicine and Medical Education, Assistant Dean for Wellbeing and Medical Student Education at the UTHSC College of Medicine in Chattanooga, who will deliver the Hippocratic Oath. Dr. Panda.
Thank you, Dr. Coca. And I'd like to extend my congratulations to each of the graduates, your families, friends, loved ones, and colleagues. The Hippocratic Oath is timeless and names our duty to our patients and their families. However, our healthcare system today is different. And in addition to our altruistic care for our patients, it calls for a partnership between system and self to be able to provide the best care to our patients, advocate for them and our vocation, and for each of us to thrive. Our system calls us to be resilient. You have already shown this resilience, and continue this resilience, which can happen only through caring for ourselves and care for each other. As you each pledge the Hippocratic Oath today, think of a way that you will care for yourself and your colleagues along your journey. The Oath to Self-Care and Well-Being was published last year and appends the Hippocratic Oath. A copy of this oath is provided to each of you in your diplomas. Please remind yourselves of that often. I would like now to invite the graduates and all the physicians in attendance to please rise and recite the Hippocratic Oath that is printed in your program. I solemnly pledge to consecrate my life to the service of humanity. I will give respect and gratitude to my deserving teachers. I will practice medicine with conscience and dignity. The health and life of my patient will be my first consideration. I will hold in confidence all that my patient confides in me. I will maintain the honor and the noble traditions of the medical profession. My colleagues will be as my family. I will not permit considerations of race, religion, nationality, party politics, or social standing to intervene between my duty and my patient. I will maintain the utmost respect for human life. Even under threat, I will not use my knowledge contrary to the laws of humanity. These promises I make freely and upon my honor. Congratulations and Godspeed.
You may be seated. It is now my privilege to introduce Dr. Ann Grooms, who is a 1966 graduate of the University of Tennessee College of Medicine and president of the UTHSC College of Medicine Alumni Council. She is here to welcome you as your status moves from students to alumni. Dr. Grooms.
Today, as you become a graduate of this outstanding institution, you join a family of 400,000 UT alumni who live in Tennessee, across the nation, and all over the world. No matter where you go or what you do, from this point forward, you will always be a graduate of the University of Tennessee from, as I said, from this day forward. This was a difficult year in medical education. You are especially unique for weathering this storm. You must remember that the University of Tennessee College of Medicine made certain that you got through it with a wealth of knowledge and experiences, and together, the completion of a major step in your education was accomplished. You have now become long stakeholders in the image and reputation of our great university. The University of Tennessee Alumni Association challenges you to be active in the program and events that are sponsored by the campus, your college, and the Alumni Association. You will benefit from this cooperation both personally, and the university will also benefit. You're a representative of the University of Tennessee wherever you are and whatever you do. You will have the ability, and do have the ability, to positively impact future students, alumni, community leaders, and legislators. I did not fully realize this value until my husband and I joined the Alumni Council several years ago. Become an advocate of the university and assist in any way you can. Consider investing financially, even in your young career. Any amount is important. Your support will strengthen the university and provide enhanced opportunities to those students who come after you. Keep the university and the Alumni Association informed of your successes and your involvements in your community. Keep your contact information up to date. Keep the cell phones, your addresses, and your email addresses important and up to date. I realized the importance of this when I was trying to get our golden grads together. You will join others in participating in alumni surveys and the online community, and volunteering with other leaders and investing in the financial support that others have done before you. To quote Ralph Waldo Emerson, a great philosopher and essayist, the purpose of life is not to be happy, it is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well. It is an amazing, rewarding gift to support the care of a human person. I urge you to make a difference. take advantage of membership in the Alumni Association by staying engaged with your university and stay in touch with your classmates. Time does fly, and your golden grad year will come sooner and more rapidly than you think. It is now my distinct honor to induct you into the University of Tennessee Alumni Association. I extend best wishes on behalf of almost 400,000 proud UT alumni. Graduates, you may now turn your tassels. Congratulations.
We've come to the end of our program. We're so pleased that we were able to have this graduation in person with our students, now physicians, their families, loved ones, and our tremendous faculty, who I'd like to personally thank for all of your service to our students. This event would not be possible without the contributions of each and every one of you. And I know that me, as well as our students, are deeply, deeply gracious. Before we leave, I want to leave you with one quote. And it's a quote that was said by Randy Stevens, who was the headmaster of my daughter's school. And at her graduation, he said, "Before you leave, remember why you came. Before you leave, remember why you came." I want you to think about that as you walk out the door and tonight. And I want you to remember why you came and use that as a guidepost to your contributions in the future. Before you leave, remember why you came. Following the recessional, I would ask family members to please stay seated, and the ushers will direct you after the party leaves. Our students will be taking a group photo. Following the photo, you will rejoin your graduates at the lower level. Thank you all so much for attending today's program, and once again, congratulations to all of our graduates. Thank